We've shown in the previous talks that the Taikitu demonstrates that parts of our sister universe are present in our universe. And one of the aspects in which it is demonstrable, in my opinion, is time. Time in the brain. We've shown how by incorporating the imaginary and the unreal terms into our Trinitarian equation, we can arrive at a result that shows how we perceive time in our lifetimes. That we understand the past, we live in the here and now, the present, but we can never understand the future. We can never know accurately the future. We can predict it, but we can never know about it. Is there any way we can demonstrate this in action? And I believe there is. Now, if we take an example of an antelope, say, in a Masai Mara, it sees a lion and has to make a decision about whether it's going to, well, it can't fight but flee, or stay put and carry on grazing. It sees the lion in the present time, the here and now. The antelope's brain then searches its archive, which is in the past. The unreal time aspect of the brain does this. It tells the antelope that the lion is dangerous, and then the imaginary time aspect of the brain takes over and actually formulates the plan of action. Is the lion so far away, perhaps playing with its cubs, not hunting? Is the lion within a couple of 100 meters and is definitely hunting? If that's the case, the brain is then activated, the adrenaline glands, it gives the onset to flight. In human beings, it's more complicated, of course, but we have more options. We can perhaps get into our Land Rover, or we can shoot the lion dead. But the same principle happens. That, you know, the unreal aspect time searches the brain, the historical information. The here and now uses our senses of hearing, sight, touch, smell to assess the present situation, and the imaginary time gives us the course of action that we should be taking. If we look further about the aspects of time in embryos, we might lead to some interesting information about human beings, what makes us tick. When a couple procreate, the spermatozoa reacts with the egg, it creates a single cell from which everything is derived. Eventually, the process is one called recapitulation. We actually reenact in the growth of this embryo every stage of human development. I mean, at some stage the little embryo has gills and a tail, and a little reptilian tail perhaps, that recreates almost every generation from the start. I believe that at this stage, when the first brain cells are formed, the actual brain is only using unreal time. It's searching the archive that it has, which has to come from the DNA of the parents, for information that allows it to grow. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to have a here and now aspect, and nor is it thinking about the future. It's just like an empty computer that just needs the software. It is just downloading all this information from mum and dad's DNA. After about 10 weeks, rapid eye movement in the embryo demonstrates that dreaming is taking place, and I believe this is the stage at which the imaginary time is kicked in. This is trying to show the embryo, or teach the embryo through the dreaming, how to cope with future life, eventually for actually the birth. The here and now, I can never understand why nature needs the embryo or the young proto-child to actually know about the here and now, about living in the womb. But we do know the embryo or the proto-child in the womb can hear its mother's voice. I think they've shown this. So we must assume that the here and now side of time is kicked in. The interesting thing that I'd like to say is that one thing that is downloaded into the child at this early stage are the physical characteristics, eye colour, hair colour, all these things, which I believe can come from quite close relatives, the mother and father, grandparents, that sort of thing. But I believe that the character of a child comes from way back, possibly even to the time of conception. And I'd like to talk about that in another talk.